She went back and forth from the hospital, back into rehab, back to the house that we had gotten her, back to the hospital, back to rehab, and it was this revolving door.
He was a man who almost overnight was thrust into the role of caregiver for his ailing mother. What he experienced was so frustrating and upsetting that he decided then and there that he was going to do something about it. Wait till you see the difference he's trying to make. Then,
I was a kid that was kind of bullied. And not kind of bullied, definitely bullied. I was, pushed into walls and had mean notes. I had slam books written specifically about how bad Michelle Knight smelled and just this horrible.
The fairy tale took some unexpected twists and turns for this actress, but she says she came out of the journey more committed than ever to growing bolder.
Life is a gift, and it's meant to be lived to the fullest. Don't waste it. You only have one shot.
and we'll meet a man who, despite losing both arms, is accomplishing the unthinkable, and why he thinks you can reach your goals too. That's right now on Growing Bolder.
The moral of the story is really follow your heart.
Live your life to the fullest. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it.
So get out there, take some chances.
Find something you love and make it your lifestyle.
Make no mistake about it, it's a revolution.
This is Growing Bolder. I'm Bill Schaefer with Mark Middleton, and today we start with a story of invention by reinvention.
Larry Pino's story is one shared by countless Americans. After his father passed away, Larry's mother lived on her own until she couldn't anymore, and that led Larry to some serious soul-searching and a series of difficult caregiving decisions. Larry Pino's story is one shared by countless Americans. When his father passed away, his mother lived on her own and was fine for a while.
There came a time in which she wasn't. And when she wasn't, she went back and forth from the hospital, back into rehab, back to the house that we had gotten her, back to the hospital, back to rehab, and it was this revolving door. So there came a time in which I said enough, that's it. So I brought in 24/7 care.
Her caregiver was amazing, but she and all of her friends were aging, and her social interaction rapidly declined.
And so I started to look around for some place that I could put her, and without being critical to them, there was just no place that I'd be willing to put my mother. I just wasn't willing to do it. But what I saw missing was the heart. It's the heart of what I call radical intimacy. It's that opportunity on a day-by-day basis to live a life that's worth living and to continue to live that life every single day and every single moment of it. It's an opportunity for greater commitment than ever to living out your life with purpose, passion, and joy. At a certain point, after lots of just really soul searching, I said, gee, what would it need to look like for me to be willing to put Mom? What would it need to look like? And at that point, I remember too well just sitting at a chair, pulling out a piece of paper, pulling out a pen, and I started drawing what it would have to look like and describing what it would have to look like.
5 years later, what was once a dream and then a sketch is now a community, providing the lifestyle for others that Larry Pino wanted for his mother, one filled with elegance, passion, purpose, and joy. Is your mom still with us?
No. Mom passed away first part of last year. She's with us.
She's with us here. What would it have meant to you to have been able to have created this for her now?
A lot, a lot, a lot. But she's here everywhere.
It's a unique tribute and a living legacy from a loving son who saw a need and filled it. Most definitely an entrepreneur who saw a problem and decided that there was an opportunity in fixing it. The change in assisted living and nursing homes has been dramatic in the past couple of decades. In fact, the best ones have become totally deinstitutionalized, led by national nonprofits like the Greenhouse Project.
Yeah, they look and they feel and they operate more like real homes where the residents can eat what they want, when they want, and have access to gardens and pets and all kinds of creative activities.
I think that kids put pressure on themselves to be perfect, to do everything right, and then they tell themselves this lie that once they get their parents situated, it won't be stressful anymore. And that's really not true. That you have to kind of get yourself emotionally ready for the number of years that it takes to get used to caring for a parent, just as you would a child. It's a different kind of stress, but you have to get your system adjusted to the daily phone calls, the weekly visits, the can't balance the checkbook, they can't pick up the mail, they're not eating right, all these things that happen. And I would also say to the kids that lowering your expectations would be really helpful. That they set the bar so high that they're going to be this great champion of their parents and that the parents are going to behave well, and to lower that a little bit and say, I'm just going to be with my parent and it's going to be messy, and that's really okay.
Do you believe in fairy tales? Michelle Knight does. She's had to. It's the only thing that's gotten her through years of being bullied as a child. Well, that child grew into an impressive adult, an actress, talented, respected, successful. But for her, every victory came with another obstacle. Her story is proof that with determination, attitude, and persistence, dreams really do come true.
I wonder if happily ever afters are real.
When we're young, we all believe in fairy tales. Michelle Knight was no different. But this little Snow White grew up to be Snow White. Well, sort of, as one of the stars in the critically acclaimed award-winning musical comedy Disenchanted.
And just one more moment living happily ever after seems extreme. One more whistle while I work and I'm simply gonna scream.
Seems like she'd be living a fairy tale kind of life, but not exactly. But she has had some impressive dreams come true.
I was on the national tour of Greece with Frankie Avalon, and then I was on the national tour of Annie, and I opened Finding Nemo the musical, and then I booked Jersey Boys, and that's kind of been my career pinnacle as of late. You know, I got to be on Broadway, and now I'm working on Disenchanted, which is a passion project, I think.
They make us look weak like helpless damsels in distress. Do nothing more than sit around and wait for their prince to come. Look at me. Do I look like I need to wait for my prince?
She's had quite a run so far, one that began almost 30 years before when she made her debut with a familiar-looking reporter on the local TV news.
We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Not bad, huh?
Michelle loved it. Performing made her feel alive. But as she grew and moved on to middle school, her life was anything but happy.
I was a kid that was kind of bullied, and not kind of bullied, definitely bullied. I was, pushed into walls and had mean notes. I had slam books written specifically about how bad Michelle Knight smelled and just this horrible.
The scars have faded, but they're still there, even to this day.
I feel bad for that Michelle. I mean, that's the best way I can put a pin in it, is I feel bad for those everyday battles that I had. I would walk down the street to meet up with my friends to play, and they had gathered a gang to beat me up. They had called me over to come play, but their play was to come beat me up. Or I had, it was all kinds of stuff. And I don't think about these things on a daily basis, but when I do, you feel sad for those moments, for those poor kids that are going through that stuff. I can't even imagine if I had to deal with this stuff in today's age with the internet, where you can't get away from it.
To overcome her pain, Michelle turned to performing, which eventually led her to a place that knows a lot about fairy tales. Walt Disney World was a perfect fit.
And I have so many opportunities to play so many different characters, and I get to interact with these kids that, you take 2 seconds and Dory says hi to somebody in the audience and you watch them. It's a life changer, you watch them feel valid and important in that moment. It's something else.
Michelle used her talents to empower others to face up to any challenge, something that she would soon need to do again herself.
In these years that I was being bullied, by the way, my aunt, my favorite aunt, who set up all of these performances for me, got breast cancer. Then my dad's other sister got cancer, my mom's sister got breast cancer, my dad's mom had died from ovarian cancer, my dad's grandmother had died from breast and ovarian cancer. And so I had genetic testing done, and then I forgot about it for 6 weeks. And then I was at a restaurant, and my doctor's office called me and said, oh, and by the way, you're BRCA1 positive. And so 3 weeks later, I had a double mastectomy, and then a week later, I had a reconstruction, and my whole life has been turned upside down.
How do you feel now that that part's over?
Relieved, but I feel like a cat pooped in my mouth.
Life can leave a bad taste, but Michelle knew her life was at stake and didn't hesitate to make a courageous decision.
You know, it's just such a bad disease. It's so unfair because it doesn't just make you sick, it takes your spirit. And it takes it takes your life from you, yes, but it takes your life from you. And that's not what I want, you know.
But there would be yet another twist. You see, 3 years earlier, Michelle met what she hoped was her prince, fell in love, and got married.
And they lived happily ever after. Well, not exactly.
Things just didn't work out, and a couple of weeks after her surgery, their divorce was finalized.
And then we took a picture of ourselves out in front of the courtroom, and he posted it on Facebook, mainly just to tell our friends and family that, hey, we're okay. You don't have to choose a side. We're still friends. We see each other every weekend. Everything's okay. And I got picked up by the Huffington Post and went viral.
It became known as the divorce selfie. Even trended on Twitter. Everybody was talking about it, and out of context, everybody hated it, felt that they were thumbing their nose at the very institution of marriage.
We had morning news shows calling us. We had like every radio station in town calling us, and I wasn't talking to any of them because I was on Percocet, and you just don't want to be giving interviews that way. But I mean, I just couldn't. It was too much. That was crazy. There was one gentleman who wrote an article that was just, I mean, it said the most vile things about what he wanted to do with our divorce selfie. It was really funny, actually, because in his diatribe, he wrote, I mean, you're giving yourself applause for what? It's not like you just beat cancer.
Oh, but she had. And that, and all of her experiences, have given her a rare and heartfelt insight.
I mean, cancer is not a blessing, but realizing the world around you is a beautiful thing and the people around you deserve kindness, and that's a beautiful thing. And however it takes you to get there, I hope it's not cancer.
She learned that truly loving life only happens when you truly live it.
I'm trying to absorb every millisecond. What I've learned is to make every moment an event, finding the joy in absolutely every little silly thing, and laughing at everything that happens in life, because really, honestly, my token statement now is it's not cancer. So, you know, if I get a flat tire, it's not cancer.
Michelle Knight has overcome so much, slayed so many dragons. Maybe she is living a fairy tale. Just maybe this is one woman whose story will end happily ever after.
Outside of that, I really just want to find a way to continue to help people, continue to perform as I can and sing, and be surrounded by the people that I love, and for a long, long time.
There are a lot of takeaways in that story. Here are two of them. One, you never know if a small thing you do for someone else is going to make a big difference. That short on-camera moment back in 3rd grade lit the spark that started her lifelong passion for acting. How cool is that? Second, you never know what somebody's going through. You'd meet her and think, wow, her life must be perfect. But she's found a way to keep smiling, keep loving, and keep looking forward.
I'm Cecily Wilson. When life puts obstacles in your way, what do? Do you give up, or do you start surviving and thriving? Well, Hector Picard is an incredible athlete whose accomplishments include the Ironman triathlon and other long-distance events. He's a swimmer, a cyclist, a runner, and he does it all despite the fact that he's a bilateral amputee. A workplace accident sent more than 10,000 volts of electricity through his body and caused him to fall 2 stories. After 4 weeks in a coma and a long recovery process, Hector decided not to let his disability stop him.
Life is a gift, and it's meant to be lived to the fullest. Don't waste it. You only have one shot. I was fortunate enough. I had a second chance, thanks to the modern technology and everything that's out there. The prosthetics. I'm able to live a normal life, if not beyond normal.
Just becoming an elite athlete wasn't good enough for Hector, though. He's an incredible philanthropist, raising money for other challenged athletes as well as children born with disabilities. His organization, Don'tStopLiving.org, does some amazing work and is an inspiration to all of us when it comes to surviving and thriving. So we hope you're inspired to make a difference in your own life. For Growing Bolder, I'm Cecily Wilson.
Find more inspirational stories of surviving and thriving at growingbolder.com/TV.
So how are you growing bolder? Do you have things in your life that make you excited to get out of bed in the morning? Do you look for ways to challenge yourself, or do you take risks that can lead to big rewards?
Yeah, if not, the ball is in your court, because now is the time to start growing bolder, to say yes to life. I was invited to take part in a Pashakasha event.
Wow, I'm glad you had to say that and not me. But basically what you have is 20 slides that advance automatically every 20 seconds, ready or not.
Exactly. No script and no ability to pause or start over. And they're popular with audiences because they typically deal with important and timely topics, and frequently things do go wrong. Despite that, I said yes. Here's my Pachakasha, and we'll see you next time. I'm grateful that you're giving me 20 slides, and in return I'm going to give you 20 years, because you're slowly killing yourself and you don't even know it. The problem is you've been brainwashed, just like Derek Zoolander was brainwashed by Magatu to off the Malaysian Prime Minister dude. You've been brainwashed to destroy yourself as you age. And it's something that started before you could even walk or talk. Multiple studies have confirmed that child's literature has been filled with ageist stereotypes for decades. Older people either don't exist in these pages, or they exist solely to be made fun of, or of course to do what they do best, and that of course is to get sick and die. Television has been the worst offender from its inception, either misrepresenting or underrepresenting older people, characterizing them as frail, feeble, and forgetful. And it's not just books and television. It's over-the-hill greeting cards. It's mandatory retirement ages. It's doctors prescribing medication ahead of lifestyle modification. From the time you were born, our culture has been whispering demeaning, ageist propaganda to you, convincing you that as your skin begins to wrinkle, your dreams begin to die. And now it's not only in your head, it's been embraced by your soul. It's a ticking time bomb that tells you age is a disease and you have it. It's a diagnosis that's self-confirmed with every gray hair, with every wrinkle, with every ache and every pain, and every time you forget something or lose something. And that's what Growing Bolder is about. We're rebranding aging. We're deprogramming the world from the insidious cult of youth, because you have been deceived by the culture. You have been misled by the media. You've been lied to by Madison Avenue and Hollywood, and even by your friends, your family, and yourself, because aging is not a disease. It's an opportunity. And don't say, yeah, but I got bad genes. Genes only account for 25% of active longevity. Banana George Blair had bad genes, and he continued to barefoot water ski into his mid-90s. If you want to keep moving, you have to keep moving. A major study at the recent National Senior Games revealed that the average fitness age of the over 4,000 competitors was 43. That's 25 years younger than their actual chronological age. And this is important to you because because as it turns out, fitness age is a better predictor of how many years you have left to live than your actual biological age. The most important lifestyle determinant of active longevity is your belief system about aging. And this too has been proven by countless studies. What the mind believes, the body embraces. My favorite study was done by Yale University. They took a large group of sedentary 80-year-olds, couch potatoes. They gave them all a baseline fitness test, and then they divided them into two groups. One group was exercised every day for 6 months. The other group, no exercise at all. But they were exposed to constant positive images of older people, powerful, passionate, interesting, intelligent, sexually engaged, socially active. And at the end of 6 months, they gave them another physical fitness test. And the group that did no exercise at all, but was exposed to these positive images, showed more improvement in their overall physical abilities than the group that exercised every day. What the mind believes, the body embraces. So the question to you tonight is, what do you believe? If I ask you to close your eyes and imagine an 80 or 90-year-old woman in a horizontal position, what do you see? If you see her in a pine box 6 feet underground, I can't mark your paper wrong, because that's where most 80 and 90-year-olds are. You probably imagined her in bed, sick, declining, in poor health, after years or maybe even decades of disease, disability, and morbidity. Unfortunately, that's the fate that many of us face. That's where we're going, including this woman who is 80 years old and who soon will be 6 feet underground. Less likely, you imagine the 90-year-old Joanna Quas, who's a competitive gymnast who travels the world competing and hanging out with her friends. It is important what you imagined, because what the mind believes, the body embraces. May Laborde believed when she turned 93 years old that it was finally time for her to pursue her lifelong dream of becoming an actress, something she had never done. So she did what any wannabe would do. She got in her car, she drove to LA, she got an agent, and she worked continuously in film and television until she died at 102. Harry Bernstein was 93 years old when he started to worry about his mental acuity. So he got a typewriter and he began to jot out some childhood memories. He enjoyed the process, so much so that he turned his memories into a memoir. And at 97 years old, Harry Bernstein became a first-time published author. He would publish 2 more books before he died at 101, but not before proclaiming his 90s the greatest decade of his life. Ida Keeling was 68 years old when both of her sons were murdered. She became so despondent that her daughter, fearing that she might take her own life, forced her to go outside and start running. Running not only saved her life, it soon defined her life. You might have seen Ida all over the news recently when she set a world record in a 100-meter dash for women 100 to 104. Lifespan is defined as the age of the oldest living individual in any species, and for human beings, it's 122 years, 164 days. Jean Clement was not athletic. She didn't lead a particularly healthy lifestyle, but she loved life. She took up fencing when she was 88. She rode her bike every single day until she was 100, and she lived alone until she was 110. I know this because I wrote a book on active longevity based upon interviews that I did with the most active centenarians in the world. And here's what I learned. Here's what I can tell you tonight. Hold your friends closely because their value increases as you age. As we get older, low social interaction is more harmful to our health than alcoholism, obesity, or smoking. It's true. Here's what you got to do. Get a posse. Find a passion. Stay active. You're hardwired to move. If you stop moving, that's a sign that you're going to stop dying. Chill the F out. Active centenarians don't stress about anything and laugh. Jean Clement was asked, what's it like to be so wrinkly when she was 120? And she said this, I have only one wrinkle, honey, and I'm sitting on it. Here's what you don't know about Jean. She smoked a cigarette every day for 100 years. She ate 2 pounds of chocolate every week until she died. But her passion for life, her joie de vivre, overcame her questionable lifestyle choices. So I ask you again, imagine an 80-year-old woman in a horizontal position, and if you now imagine this woman, you have just added years to your life. If you now imagine this woman, you're starting to get the idea. It's not about the length of your life, it's about the quality of your life. Aging is not a disease, it's an opportunity. Stop growing older and start growing bolder. Thank you.
More information about all of the stories you've seen here today is available at growingbolder.com/TV. And you can get inspired to keep rebranding aging when you connect with the Growing Bolder community on Facebook.
me ask you something. Do you think I should get a hairpiece? Don't we all think about things like that? Whether it's hair, face, tummy, or somewhere else, as a society, we obsess over what's wrong with how we look. But here's the thing, looking better isn't really about your looks at all. What it is about is your energy, your spark, your passion. Trying to look younger than you are? Well, that's a tough one to pull off, and you can usually spot them a mile away. Honestly, slapping some dark brown hair up there really isn't going to fool anybody anyway. But looking vibrant and interesting, that's what you want, and you can't get that in a bottle or in an operating room. Really, it's what's inside that counts. When that spark for life comes from within, age has a way of disappearing. Listen, do whatever makes you happy. Just know that you can be relevant and even irresistible just the way you are, because looking good happens when you're confident, healthy, and living life to the fullest. That's growing bolder.
I was invited to take part in a pachakacha.
It's easy for you to say.
Pachakacha.
I thought it was. You say it some way all the time that I say it.
All right, here we go.
So,
What? Sorry.
oh, you gave me the old fake there, Mike. He goes like,
I thought it was coming. And wait. All right, here we go. That's going to be on the bloopers. Yep.
Growing Bolder is available on DVD for $19.99 plus shipping and handling. A companion book, Growing Bolder, Rebranding Aging by Mark Middleton, is available as well for $29.99 plus shipping and handling. And you can subscribe to Growing Bolder magazine for $19.99. Order online at growingbolder.com/TV.